What's up, and welcome to a new tutorial on eBay, basically eBay scraping using the eBay API using Python. In this video, what we're going to do is we are going to basically make an API call using eBay's API, and we are going to pull a bunch of listing data for whatever item we want. And eventually the goal is going to be to make our own system where basically it's going to send us an email for anytime an item pops up that we might be interested in, and you can filter it in whatever way you want, whether you want items that are only really close to you or items that are low priced or whatever you want. I'm going to show the entire process. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just run the code, show you where we're ending up in this video and what you can expect. So I'm just going to hit Control B, and so you can see it prints out all this stuff. And basically I looked up the E5-2620, which is a server processor, and basically it's giving me the listing title, the price, and then the condition. And so that's about what you can expect from this video. Is we're going to go through and we're going to show how you basically set up the request, how you parse it, and then how you look at the contents inside in an organized fashion. And so first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the eBay developer site, and so this is just developer.ebay.com. You can look that up yourself, and what you're going to want to do is you're probably going to want to hit join, and then you just create a user, and then you go through the entire process, and you're going to have to create a key, and you're looking for the I believe it's the app key. It's whichever one starts with like the beginning of your name, and then it says like eBay Sir and stuff like that. You'll be able to tell which one it is. And then once you get that sorted out, I'm not going to show you the whole process because it's going to show my key if I sign in and show you. But once you get that done, then you're going to want to go to the docs section, and then you're going to want to go to the all API documentation. And this is going to show you they have a plethora of different kind of things you can look at, whether you're a seller and you want to look at various metrics like your own inventory and some other analytics, or if you're buying and you want to look through stuff. But the one we're going to look for is the searching APIs, or the finding API more specifically. So we're going to go to the API reference so it can show us exactly what we're doing, and then you can actually look at there's various different calls that you can make. And so what we're going to be looking at is the find items by keyword, but you might want to look at completed items if you're looking at historical prices or something like that. You can do whatever you want. So we'll do find items by keywords, and then it shows you how you go about doing all of the different things. So you might only want to look at eBay US or eBay Australia or something like that. So it has directions for that. I'm going to skip over that for now. But the big thing you want to look at is basically they let you refine the results in various different ways. Let me jump to a different tab. So you can basically do various item filters, and so you just tack these on to your API request, which is just an HTML website basically, and I can show you that right here. So the way it starts off is services svcs.ebay.com /services/search, and then finding service to show which section we're in, V1, and then after this is all of the stuff that we actually have to enter. So the previous stuff is just going to be standard. You're always going to want to use that if you're using the finding. And so what we're going to do is when you start the API request, what you're going to want is a question mark. And so that's going to be your first parameter. And our first thing we're going to look at is operation name, like it says up here. And then you're going to put equals and then whatever operation you want. For us, we're going to do find items by keyword, but you may want something else. And then on top of that, you can do sorting. And so with the next parameter of the API, so the first one we did question mark, but every next one you're going to want to do the ampersand sign, the and sign. So every single one after that, you're basically saying this and. So you're going to be looking at all of the different parameters to add in. So what I did is I added in a sort order. This is just an optional additional thing that you can add in. And what I did is I sorted it by price plus shipping lowest. So basically it's going to sort it from top to bottom with the lowest priced items plus their shipping cost at the top. And so that's pretty useful if you want to just scan it really quickly and you want to look at the cheaper items. And then after that, I had to enter in and buyer postal code equals 92128 because that is my postal code and that's the parameter that they want you to pass in. And then after that, you have to pass in the version number. So you're going to do and service version equals 1.13 or whatever the current version is. And then after that, what you have to do is you have to do and security app name equals, and then you enter in your key here. I'm not going to show the rest of it because my key is in there obviously. And so now that you kind of understand how the request is going to work, how you pass in the different parameters, I can actually jump over to the code and show you what I'm talking about. So I will open this up. And so what I did is at the top here, I made key equals and then my app key, and then I folded it so you guys can't look at it. But you do want to define that up there. You're going to want to do key equals whatever so that you can use it later. And so what I did is I defined a search term so that we can quickly and easily swap out search terms instead of needing to put it in this big long HTTP request. And so you see at the end the parameter you're passing through is and keywords equals and then whatever you're searching for. We're going to build on this in the future, but for now we're just going to manually type it in. But basically you can see what I was talking about before, where I have this standard request and then everything after that is just parameters. And what I did is I put the backslash sign just to continue the lines on each one so I could have a different parameter on each one, just in case you're wondering why I did that. So it's not one big massive line. But you see I did operation name equals find items by keywords, and then I did the sort order like I was talking about, and then the postal code, and then the security app name, and then after that you define what format you want the response to be in. You have the option of XML or JSON, and I originally was working with XML. That's the one I did when I worked on this project a couple months ago, but I found when I was redoing it that JSON is actually easier to work with. So I highly recommend you do and response data format equals JSON. And then after that you do and rest payload and then the rest of your stuff. And so what this is showing is how you do the item filters. And so the way this works, if you're seeing this, is you basically pair them up with a name and a value. So item filter 0, that's your first filter. The name you're looking for is condition, and then the value down here is what you want that value to be. So you want the condition to be new, is what I'm saying right here. And then once you have your first filter done, you can move on to the second one. And so this is item filter 1. And so what I'm looking at is the max price. And then I set the value as equals 500. So I'm saying the max price of the item I want to see is $500. And then I did this one specifically because it also has the parameter name. The param name is going to be an additional thing that you tack on. So you have 500 right here, but it's 500 what? So you have to define the currency, and the currency is US dollars. That's the one we're looking for. So you might find certain parameters when you're looking at the documentation that require param names. And then after that, I just did and keywords equals search term, which is pretty self-explanatory. And so now that we have this big, long HTTP request that we've created, you can craft your own with all kinds of different parameters if you look at the API. Now what we have to do is we have to actually request it. And so how do you do that? The first thing you're going to have to do is you have to import requests. And so what you're going to do, hang on, I have an extra line in there that threw me off for a second. What you're going to want to do is you do requests, and then you just do, well, you have to import requests. Sorry if I'm stumbling all over myself. Then you have to do request.get, and then you do this URL that you just defined. So that is your big long thing, and then I set it to a variable. And then after that, since we chose the JSON object, or the JSON option within the API call, what we have to do is we have to import JSON, and then we have to do our previous variable .json. So we called the JSON function, and it goes, oh, this is JSON. And then we set that to, I set it to parse document. And then after that, at that point, basically what you see, I'm going to print this out, print parsed doc, and then I'm going to take all of this and comment it out. When you do that, you get this big, long, nasty output. And so that is exactly what we were seeing here, is it's this big, massive, nasty output. And it's not really formatted in any way. It's not very readable. And so what you're going to want to do is we are going to we're going to basically parse it ourselves and grab the specific things that we want. So basically, if you look at the structure of this, I'm going to increase the text font. That's too big. If you look at this, the first thing we want to, it sort of works like a normal dict when you have the JSON object. So what you're going to want to do is, you know that everything is inside of this find items by keyword response object. And then you look and you see that everything inside of the find items by keyword response is inside of a big, huge list. And so it's funny because it's a list, but it's only one item within the list. So what you're going to do is you just reference it at 0. So I'll show this piece by piece so you can understand what I'm talking about. I'm going to comment this out again. And so before we got this big, long, nasty response, if I control run it again, we still get this big, nasty response, but you'll notice that it doesn't start at find items by keyword response. It starts at the first timestamp, and it says success and all of that stuff. And you'll see that it's inside of the brackets like it should be for a list. And so if I do 0, then it's going to remove the brackets because it's no longer in a list. And so now you see that it's the curly brace because it's basically a dict now. And so after that, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to look at the search result. And so if we look at that, that is going to narrow it down to the stuff that's inside of here. And so we're just slowly digging our way into the actual contents, because right now it's got all of the titles and all of the different factors. And so we're going to have to do the same thing again, where we have to do 0, because right now it's in a list, but we want access to that dict that's inside of it. And then after that, we can do item, and this is going to look specifically at one, anything that has item. And so you can see that we've limited it all the way down to just the stuff that is inside of item. Let me find one of those over here. So it's everything that's inside of one individual item. So you've got lots of interesting information there, like title, like the category it's in, like its price, like its location, all of that stuff. So you can grab whatever you want. And so if we want to continue digging in there, then we just do like we were before, and we can do 0 to grab it out of the list. And then we can do something like, let's try title. And then it shows that we've got the one individual title that we want. And so basically what I did, I'll just delete this for now. Basically what I did is I iterated through it, so I grabbed all of the different items, so that's every single listing of that thing, and then I did a for loop along it, and then I'm going to basically grab the individual pieces that I want. So I put title equals item, title, and then 0 in the brackets because I want the item out of the list. I just want the pure string. And then I did the same thing for condition. And so you're going to have to kind of scroll through here and figure out exactly what items you want and what they're named, and kind of what their structure is when you're doing this, because actually when I looked at it, it says condition, and then condition gives you this big list of multiple different things that you might not be interested in, and then I had to do condition display name to give the actual value of new, used, broken, or for parts or whatever. And then after that I did price, and so that again was in some kind of cryptic thing where I had to look inside of selling status, converted current price, and then value. And then once you get all of that done, you can do a print request, or not a print request, just a print, and you just print out title, price, and condition. And so I can run that now, and you can see that it runs correctly, and it prints out the title, it prints out the price, and it prints out the condition. That's pretty much going to be it for this video. In the next video, we are going to be covering how to make it more dynamic in the searches, so you don't have to have just one search that you're doing at a time. You can have a list of searches, and then I'm also going to show how you can make it so it will continuously do this search, and then I'm also going to show that you can email yourself every time, say an item drops below $50 and you really want it under $50. I can show and send an email that is basically saying, hey, look at this item, this might interest you. And so I'll show how we can filter and send that email. But other than that, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.